Welcome to Heart of North Texas, a philanthropic podcast that celebrates the work of nonprofit organizations in the region. In each episode, we will bring you stories of compassion, resilience, and dedication from the people who are making a difference in the lives of others. This episode brought to you by Credit the Cause, the home of the infinite donation. On this episode, we welcome TJ Wheat of Credit the Cause. And now, Zoe Martin.
Today on Heart of North Texas, we have our sponsor with us. And what's very cool about this is that we had met at a networking opportunity, and he mentioned Credit the Cause.
Absolutely.
And I told him when we had a one-to-one, I said, this is so in line with a podcast that I had started last year called The Heart of North Texas with Frito. And we wanted people to get involved in the community, learn how they could give back to the community, maybe volunteer or give back monetarily, however worked for them. But unfortunately, Frito passed away. And then when Buddy and I were able to figure out he could do production, one of the things that Frito and I never had was sponsorship. And so after we relaunched, then TJ reached out and said that he was interested in sponsoring with Credit the Cause. And I'm very happy to have you as our guest today.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. We're super happy to be sponsors and help you guys get this thing up and rolling and spread the word for what you guys are doing. We're very excited about it.
Yes. And Credit the Cause, when we initially met, you didn't tell me that because you're with the credit card processing company,
Correct.
Which is?
So it's a company I own, which is North Texas Payments. That's we do credit card processing. So anything in the payment space, that's what I've done. That's kind of what my career has been. But Credit the Cause is something me and my business partner named Jen Verma, we started this back in May to really focus on working with nonprofits and 501c3s to help them get funding, which they're always looking for money. Everybody's looking for money. This is a great way for them to build in passive income. So this is something that they get every single month to help with budgeting. So they're not constantly having to have galas or silent auctions or all the different things that you end up having to do as a nonprofit to fund yourself. This is a way that you can work with your business owners that are currently donors or anybody who loves working with your charity. They can work with us to have money going back into that charity on a monthly basis.
And how does that work? Do they actually have to have a physical credit card payment processing unit, or can they swipe a card? I mean, tell me what the process looks like.
Any way anybody takes a credit card, we can do it. So we're currently working with anybody who has QuickBooks. So if you're sending invoices through QuickBooks, we have a super easy integration to work with that. From that to your terminals that sit on your desk. So everywhere you go and you see somebody slide a card or dip a card, we can do that. We work with point of sale systems, online processing for e-commerce through pretty much any gateway. If we can use API connections to work with those. I know there's a lot of very technical terms I'm getting into, but essentially it's any way you take a credit card, we can figure out a way to use it. And again, our system, the way it works is these charities, if you have a charity that you really want to work with and you want to give money back to, you work with us, you move your credit card processing to us, we donate back 40% of our profits to that charity every single month. So just to give you an example, if you have a business running, say, $100,000 a month in cards, say our profitability would be $500, just to use round numbers, we would donate 40% of that back to that charity every single month. So you're looking a little over $200 a month going to that charity every single month as long as you process with us.
Which is incredible. I mean, 40% is a good chunk.
Absolutely.
Not only that, but to me, if you're an organization and you're paying credit card processing fees anyway, why not just set it up so you can give back?
Absolutely. And a lot of people ask us, does it cost more? And the answer is absolutely not. It's probably going to cost you less. Most people, I get really into the credit card processing weeds out there, but if you've processed with anybody for any amount of time, you've probably had your rates go up and don't even know it. So not only can we help save businesses money, we can help donate money back to their charity. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah. And with the credit card processing being donated back, do the organizations, let's just give a business, ABC Title Company. Yep. ABC Title decides that they want to work with Credit the Cause. Yep. Do they need a requirement to, like a form or what am I trying to say? Some kind of labeling that says we're donating back to.
Absolutely. So what we've done is we've created a whole marketing suite for businesses that work with us that they're able to put on their website, things they can put up in their store to show that they're giving back to whatever their charity is through Credit the Cause. So we've got a whole marketing suite set up for them. Any charities that get set up with us, we have links already set up. They can put it in. Most charities on their website have ways to donate. It's just a little easy link you can drop into that. We gladly jump on any conference calls or anything we need to help build the network out so more and more people know a way to get funding back towards their charity.
Well, I'm trying to think along the line of a business.
Yeah.
And so I personally take credit cards. I'm usually invoicing, but sometimes, I'll have a card reader or something. Yeah. Is there a certain dollar amount that a business should be in order to be able to take advantage of this?
No, I mean, I work with anybody from who does $200-$300 a month in credit cards just to kind of help get them set up, to people running $300,000-$400,000 a month in cards and anything in between. We do a lot with business to business, so it doesn't have to be just your brick and mortar. Pretty much anybody who's taking credit cards, we can work with. So even if say you're a hairstylist that runs $1,200 a month just for the people that come in the door, we can absolutely work with that as well.
That's fantastic. That's really good to know, because I know that there's people who think, oh, I'm a drop in the bucket kind of thing. But in reality, every little bit helps.
Every little bit helps. I mean, with the charities, if we're writing them a check for $10 a month and we're writing a check for $10,000 a month, it doesn't matter. We're writing them, and we send those to the charities with a report every month that shows how much is going in from which business. So that way, at different events they have, if they want to recognize that XYZ title company donated $5,000 this year through their credit card processing, they've got that data to be able to look at.
Which brings up another point then. With the 40% that's being donated back, is that 40% you're sending it to the nonprofit?
Yes. Yeah. So the way that it works as a business owner, and I'm not a tax attorney or an accountant.
Disclaimer.
But you're writing those off on your taxes. This is a question we get a lot. You're writing off your fees already. So when we donate it, we're basically donating it in your name, but you can't write it off on your taxes because you're already writing off the credit card processing fees.
All right. And then do people need to change then their credit card processing system?
Correct.
Okay.
That is the one thing we do have to change their credit card processing system. But me and my team, we've been in the space for quite a bit, so we'll help walk you through all that. Typically it's a super simple process. We'll get everything up and running for you and help you guys along the way on that side.
Well, this is also maybe something that most businesses don't have an issue with, but for me, I have Stripe, I have PayPal, I have Venmo, I have Zelle. And I might even have something integrated.
Something else along the way that you've done. Yeah.
Yes, it would be really nice to just simplify that.
And that's another thing that we do. For actually, right now I'm working with a client who they've worked with us for years. They're setting up their website, and I come to find out, talking to them, they'd actually had a Square account they were running some side stuff through.
That was the one.
And I talked to him, and I'm like, why are you doing this? Why aren't you just running it all through? And he's like, we just kind of set it up one day. And I'm like, you ran $40,000 last month through a Square account where you're overpaying. Just let me use it. So in those types of instances, I can bring all those under one roof typically. So you're not having multiple accounts and getting 1099s from everywhere all over the world at the end of the year. We can simplify all that together for you. I've got solutions for your online, for your invoicing, for your terminal point of sale system, anything along the way. We can work with it.
Well, I appreciate you letting me know I'm not the only one.
You're not the only one. It amazes me when I talk to people all the time, and they're like, "Yeah, I've got my Stripe account for my website, and I've got my terminal at my office, but then I use my invoicing through QuickBooks," and I'm like, "You have no idea how much you're paying for any of this stuff." Like, no. I'm like, just let's sit down. Give me about 30 minutes. We'll put it all together, and I promise you it'll be much easier. So do a lot of that.
That's fantastic. And you said Jen is involved in giving back.
So whenever her and I met and kind of this whole idea kind of came to be, she's been in the philanthropic community for a long time here in North Texas. She does a lot with charities, helping them get set up, going through the whole governmental process that it takes a little bit to get all that set up. That's where she's kind of been in the last 5 to 10 years, I think, was very much in that side. So we got to talking like, how can we make this work where we can help charities get money back on a regular basis? And that's kind of where my expertise of the credit card processing side and the technical side. And I've been in the space for the better part of 15 years. Prior to that, I was in banking. So I've been in financial services basically since I was about 15 years old. I've been in financial services. I started out as a bank teller in East Texas. So I've seen the whole entire gamut of how to do things. her and I got to talking, and that's how we came up with this idea. Is we came together where how can we put money back in these charities without having to as a continuous recurring type thing, and this is how we came up with the concept.
Well, I love the whole idea.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I'm a huge believer in giving back.
Absolutely.
And I don't see a negative to participating and giving back.
Not at all. It's one of those things where if we could sit down, we can save people money. A lot of times we can actually eliminate credit card processing fees for people. We can do all kinds of things like that and then help charities out at the same time. It's a win-win-win for everybody.
And the organization, let's say ABC title, can they change? And how often can they change, if so, like the organization that they give back to?
Yeah, absolutely. It's literally just sending us an email or letting us know if you want to point them somewhere else. If they're not a charity that's currently on our not currently set up with us, I would need to contact, or Jen or someone on our team would need to contact that charity and get them set up. But it's a super easy process. 5-minute call. We kind of walk them through our process and get them set up and see how they want. If we want ACH, they want us to send us a check, or however they want us to send them money.
Which actually brings up another point. Is it Credit the Cause donating back to 501c3 specifically, or can it just be organization?
Any organization. We specifically target 501c3s because that's most charitable organizations, but it does not have to be a nonprofit. It can be a for-profit charity. It can be anything that's helping the community out. That's what Credit the Cause is there to help out. So it does not have to be a quote-unquote nonprofit.
All right. I know there's some, actually, I think 99% of the people that we've had on as guests so far have been nonprofit organizations. One of them is not a 501c3. They're an organization that is doing good in the community, which, again, that the whole purpose of Heart of North Texas is to get people involved in the community.
Absolutely.
And so I wasn't sure what the requirements were like with Credit the Cause.
Nope. As long as it's going back to an organization that's helping the community, that's all that we care about. We're currently starting to work with a lot of churches. Those are also a great place for us to work. So yeah, anything along the lines that's there. Any organization that's wanting to give back to the community and they are looking for funding, we are a great place for them to find that funding.
The Heart of North Texas is sponsored in part by Credit the Cause, a payment processing company that donates 40% of gross revenue to a charity of the business's choosing, turning the cost of doing business into purposeful giving. Visit creditthecause.com, the home of the infinite donation. And now, back to the Heart of North Texas with Zoe Martin.
Okay, well, this is going to sound funny. My husband and I worked with the churches for several years, and so I know a little bit of financial struggles with churches. Yeah. Can the church actually donate that back to themselves?
Absolutely. 100%. So if say like my church, we've got same thing. Our church has everything set up, and I'm like, I'm still trying to get in front of them and talk to them about this. But yes, so like say your church is set up and they're taking your Venmo payments or whatever your recurring credit card payments. We absolutely would donate that money back to the church. So.
And the location of these organizations that you can set up for the credit card processing for, are they required to be like DFW or?
No, we work anywhere in the United States. So outside, like in the United States and Canada, those are the areas we work with. Once you get past those two, you get into some weird money laundering laws and things like that. So basically anywhere in the U.S. or Canada, those are what we can work with.
And if an organization, which is very interesting to me. My son is a fashionista. He has been at Chick-fil-A for 5 years.
Nice.
And he does not, it was not his 5-year plan to be there for 5 years. So,
it's never anybody's 5-year plan to be where they're at. Yeah.
So with his fashionista mentality, I'm trying to help him find a job in some kind of fashion clothier or he's also very into colognes. Oh, so in that process, we went to a custom clothier, and that person is also from East Texas. Okay. And she happened to be on a call where they were working out some kind of scholarship thing they were doing for this city in East Texas.
Nice.
Her business is based here in the Dallas area. And I thought, because that's her roots. So if someone, say, were in another state or even Canada and said, I want to donate back to a nonprofit, in another location, that's totally optional.
Absolutely. We do not discriminate. We will work with whomever is looking to help with funding. So that's not a problem at all. So,
Okay.
so yeah, I mean, and actually I grew up in East Texas. I'm very familiar with the area. We're working with some charities out in that area as well that we're trying to get up and running on our program.
That's fantastic, which I didn't even think about that until you mentioned. We moved here from Longview, and so I am connected and volunteered with different nonprofits there in East Texas. And so I'll make sure that we get this recording to
Absolutely.
them.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't tell you, I grew up in Lufkin, a little bit of rivals between Lufkin and Longview, but yeah, no, I know East Texas very, very well. There's a lot of very charitable people in the area that this could really, really help as well.
Yeah. Well, and just thinking across the nation, though, how many people do we know that have businesses and they also have businesses in other locations?
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess, do you physically need to?
No, I could do everything via DocuSign. I mean, I signed an account up this morning for somebody in El Paso. Like I talked to him over the phone, went through our entire program, sent them a DocuSign, and then my suppliers, they'll send them out a terminal, and then I'll call them over the phone, we'll walk them through and get them up and running. So they don't have to be here.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here going, check, check, check. I don't see any minuses here.
No, we try to make the entire process as simple as we can for businesses and the charities. So yeah, we're pretty flexible on anything we need to do.
Any other questions that a business might have or a nonprofit might have?
One of the questions we come across a lot is everyone asks us, so they'll ask us about price, and we get that a lot. Does it cost us more to do this program? And the answer is absolutely not. You're probably going to save money as a business owner because the way everything works in this business is rates are negotiable. So we can talk about where you're currently at. I can give you a proposal on how to save, where you can save some money, maybe about processing your cards a little bit different, changing some rate things around. We can do that, or completely eliminate the credit card processing fees. We can do that as well. It's however you want to set it up as a business owner. But that's the question we get a lot is is it going to cost me more to give money back to charity? And the answer is absolutely not. It's probably going to save you money along the way as well.
That's great. That's good to know. When an organization is not currently set up with you, what is the timeline to get that completed?
So it kind of depends on what all they're going to need. If they're just going to need a simple terminal, typically under a week we can have them set up. From the time I get an application in and signed, turn around and a terminal shipped, we're 3 to 5 business days. If it's something that requires a little bit more of an integration, like through a website, we're kind of at the mercy of their web developers, whoever runs their website, and me getting in touch with them and giving them the information. But again, that's one of those things where I typically take that out of the business owner's hands unless they really just want to be involved, which most people these days are like, I'm hands off. You just tell me what I need to do. What I'll normally do is if they give me the information for whoever handles their website or whoever handles their point of sale system, I'll just run with it. Like, hey, sign this. I'll take care of everything. If we need you, we'll let you know. And most people are like, okay, I got a business to run. I'm going to go do my own thing. So we handle all that stuff for you.
Well, bringing this back to the heart of North Texas, when we talked, it was months prior to actually relaunching the podcast. And I don't even know if I mentioned at that time that there was a possibility that we would be relaunching.
You had told me about the podcast and that you were working on it with Frito, but that was kind of the last I'd heard. And then I saw your information on LinkedIn or maybe Facebook or somewhere
Either
where you relaunched it.
Two,
And I was
yes.
like, I got to talk to you. This is a great place. This is a very cohesive relationship. I think it'll work out well for everybody.
Yeah, and that's what I was curious because I'm thinking that we met. It would have been
late spring, I think.
Yeah, I was thinking like March or April, and I did not meet our producer Buddy until late summer.
Oh, really?
And it was almost the same timeline of when Frito and I talked initially, and then we relaunched it on the anniversary of Frito's passing, October the 1st.
Gotcha.
That was very important to me that we get whatever we did, we had to get it moving along because October 1st, this was when we were going to go on air. So I'm super happy that from the time that Frito and I talked last July and aired and got everything together, so this is the timeline of what happened. He and I talked in July. I have a giving circle. I'd only lived here for a year, and so I didn't know a lot of people. Yeah. And I said, hey, I want to start a podcast that features nonprofits and people who are doing good in the community. And he's like, Zoe, that's a great idea. I pitched that idea to a sponsor 5 months ago, but I haven't heard back from them. And I was like, oh, well, if you hear back from them, I would love to help in some way. Yeah. He said, can you co-host? I was like, I don't know, right? Yeah. And so he's like, yeah, you can do it. And I said, okay, well, this is July, so we should maybe launch in January. And he goes, no, September. We're like, oh my
Lord,
goodness.
here we
So
go.
we're gonna start recording in August, and
Yeah.
then we're gonna air in September. And then he passed away unexpectedly in October.
Yeah.
And so that just completely. We actually had a guest in here that when we recorded last year, there were a few episodes that didn't actually get.
Pushed out.
They didn't get aired,
Yeah.
and so this particular nonprofit came in and re-recorded because that was one of the ones that's still in the can.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy to be able to
That's awesome.
get that rolling again. And then knowing that if Frito knew that we got sponsorship as quickly this time as we
He'd be
did,
more excited.
what's going on? So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
I mean,
awesome. That's wonderful news.
he knew it didn't matter when we went on air.
Yeah.
At some point, we were going to get sponsorship, and so we are really grateful. I know Buddy and I.
Absolutely. We're glad to be here. We're glad to be a part of it. We love what you guys are doing. We hopefully we can help some charities out with getting some money coming back to them on a regular basis and help you guys out. I mean, it's a very worthy cause. I'm glad you guys are doing it. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, well, and I hope that there's a lot of businesses on here that are listening. Like, oh, it's that simple.
Yeah,
I mean,
super simple.
Let's just put it in like a 1, 2, 3. If you contact Credit the Cause, reach out to TJ. On LinkedIn, it's Thomas Wheat.
Thomas Wheat,
But on Facebook, it's TJ Wheat, and we will have all the information of Credit the Cause in the show notes. But what is a 1, 2, 3 if a business said, "Hey, sign me up"?
So basically what they would do is reach out to Credit the Cause or myself. We figure out which charity you want to work with. If there's someone we're currently working with, I'll set you up with a credit card processing. We'll go over rates. Basically, it's however you got set up originally. So probably a 30-minute conversation at the most. 2 to 3 days later, you're up in processing, and then we start giving money back to that charity the following month once we start getting paid on those credit card processing transactions. So it's probably 6 weeks from the first time you sign up to whenever your charity starts receiving those funds. If you're a business who's looking to get up and running, again, creditthecause.com. You can find out all the information there, or reach out directly to me, Thomas Wheat, on LinkedIn, and everything will be in the show notes with my email. It's thomas@creditthecause.com.
That actually did bring up another question for me, because I have so many things that I've got my hands in right now.
Absolutely.
To narrow that down to whatever the North Texas Payment Systems, North Texas
Payments, yes.
There we go. Okay. If we were to do that, what would I need to do anything like with Stripe and Zelle and all of those to tell them, okay, I'm no longer going to be using you, or do I just stop?
So with Stripe and a lot of anything you set up like Stripe or Square, there's no cancellation or anything. You just kind of stop using them and it just goes away.
Okay.
So those are super simple. Once we take whatever you've got Stripe plugged into and we plug our services in, it just kind of dies. It just is what it is. Same thing with Square. Now, if you've got something that's with a larger credit card processing company, sometimes they have cancellation fees. A lot of times they don't. If they do, we'll typically help cover the cancellation fees if we need to.
Oh, well, that's good to know.
And we can even set up where we'll help you call your old merchant services company and cancel anything you've got coming out. That's a pretty simple process.
Okay, fantastic. Yep. Is there anything that we haven't mentioned that you
would
like us to?
That's kind of the basics of it. Again, we're here to help charities. We know charities are always looking for funding, and this helps with budgeting. This is one of the things that a lot of the charities we work with really like is they can count on, like, we know we're getting $1,000 a month that we're going to get, and that it's going to continue growing, versus having one-off events 2 or 3 times a year to hopefully get enough money to help budget and fund you through. This is that recurring revenue that everyone's looking for. So that's why a lot of our charities really love working with us on this. And then businesses to know that they're giving back to a charity without having any money come out of their pockets. This is a normal business expense. So it's just something that's part of their normal everyday business activities, putting money back into their charities. It's a win-win for everybody.
For sure. And just so our audience knows, because we have sponsorship, that's how we're able to put our production out on video.
Yep.
So if you see YouTube goes black, it's because we don't have sponsorship. But we have the opportunity to take on more sponsorship. And so if you are interested in sponsoring the Heart of North Texas, we would love for you to reach out to myself or to Buddy. And I think we're good.
Yeah, no, this was great. This is the only second podcast I've ever been on, so I was super excited about it. I liked it. It was great. Good time.
Good deal. Well, we are so appreciative of you. Thank you for coming in.
Absolutely. Thanks, Zoe.
Thank you for being a part of the success of the Heart of North Texas podcast. This episode was brought to you by Credit the Cause, home of the infinite donation. Please check our show notes for contact information for the program, our guests, and our sponsors. And please tag us on your social media. Please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.